What's up, guys, and welcome to Comic Book Wednesday for September 18th, 2013. Yeah, another week of comics and another week into this stupid villains month. But before we get into my books, let's go back and talk about the villains books that I was unfortunate not to not pick up. I was able to read. Some I thought were really good, some I thought were okay, and yeah. So some from last week that I actually got to read today. I got to read the Mr. Freeze one, which I thought was pretty bad. The Lobo one, it would have been interesting, except for the fact that the Lobo's redesign looks like shit. And that's all the ones I read from last week that I didn't get to read the week before. But yeah, they weren't good. Thank God I didn't read them. But this week I read the Lex Luthor book, and I'm surprised. That was very good. It was a very good book. I read the Ra's al Ghul one, and that was okay. Confusing at some points. I read the Clayface one, which was good. I enjoyed it for what it was. They ran out of the 3D covers for that one, so that's not a shock. I read the Scarecrow one, which is going to lead into Forever Arkham More, which I'm not picking up because, yeah, I don't care about it. But it seemed interesting because, he's basically kind of, taking over. I think that might have been it. Let me just make sure. 1 second. No, oh wait. The last book I read was Deathstroke, and I enjoyed the Deathstroke book really good. I definitely think that it showed a lot that I needed to know if I don't know Deathstroke, which is really cool, and other stuff. But also, before we get into these books, now that we're done with the villain books, let's take a look at the comic shop news. I haven't looked at these in a while. I actually got two this week. This one's the regular weekly one that they usually give you. It talks about Cataclysm, which I'm not interested in, but it shows you every single book that's coming out in October. So, definitely, if you are interested in picking up any books in October, since that is coming up quickly, you should pick up this issue. However, you won't really need to pick up this issue because you'll need this issue. Comic shop news for the fall preview. It shows everything that is coming out for the rest of the fall season, including this month, which kind of sucks, but DC and Marvel have their huge sections, of course, and it's great. DC section starts out with all the villains books, and then it goes on to the rest of the books that they're going to talk about, and it goes slowly and slowly through each month and going through and through and through, which is pretty cool. And yeah, definitely cool. Marvel does the same thing. They have their own page. And yeah, they go through all that stuff. They basically talk about the rest of Infinity and what they're doing for it. So if there are any books you need to pick up for the rest of the fall from any comic book company, this is definitely the issue you need to pick up because, yeah, it definitely is. I believe this might be a variant cover, actually, on the cover. This might be a variant cover to Captain America Legends Live or whatever. I don't remember what it's called. I know I'm picking it up. I'll remember it then. But why don't we go into the books for this week, though? Because that's what we're really here for. I think. Anywho. First, we have Batman 66 number 3. Probably not the best of the 3 books this week. But I like the Batman 66 series. It's a great series going on. And yeah, it's definitely gotten some great stories. Excuse me. As you can see, it's got the Joker in this issue, which is cool because we haven't seen the Joker yet and how he's been written down. Hopefully Jeff Parker knows what he's doing. I do apologize for the hiccuping. I just started all of a sudden. Oh my god, it's not going away, guys. Yeah, but 66, really enjoyable. We have our 3D cover of the day. Penguin, issue number 1, or Batman 23.3. Very cool. I think I'm gonna not like this one as much as the other two books. Jesus Christ, I won't stop hiccuping. I'm not gonna enjoy it as much as these books. The other two books that I've read, but I think I'm gonna enjoy this one for what it is. Oh my god. Finally, we have Infinity Part 3. Um, yeah, I'm enjoying the series right now, and I can't wait for the rest of the book. That's all I'm pretty much need to say about it. So, with that being said, let's look into the comics for the rest of the week. Or, let's talk about these comics. I don't know what I'm saying. Jeez. Alright, we're back. And, before we talk about the comics, I forgot to mention that since today was the 18th, and I do have an iPhone 4S, I did get the iOS 7 upgrade, and here's my quick little review on it, and it's different. I'll definitely admit that Apple did a really different job for it. It's all bubbly now, in a way, like, it's all, like, poof, if you get in my drift. Like, you have to look at it and understand why I think it's bubbly. But, yeah, I think it's pretty cool. There's nothing really extremely different about it, except from the fact that they kind of changed the lock screen and they changed a couple of other things from it, but I think it's pretty neat for what they did with it. So, with that being said, my mini review of that, let's talk about the comics. And this week we did pretty good, I believe. All around, I think we did pretty good. But let's first talk about Batman 66 Numero Tres. Ooh, there it is. Ooh, there it is. So yeah, I believe that this is probably one of the more funnier comics that I've read in a while. This was actually pretty good. This has the Red Hood in it. If you don't know who the Red Hood is, then you don't know the Joker character that well, which is pretty interesting. And I think this is the first time that they really introduce him to the 66 universe, which is interesting because, yeah, there's a twist with it, of course, where the Red Hood, you're wondering who he is, and it's actually pretty interesting of what they actually make of it. The Joker is hilarious in this book. I can't remember the actor on the top of my head, who he was. Not really remembering, but they put a good rendition of him in this book. And also there's an extra story at the end about the Egghead villain, who you don't see anymore in any of the Batman things except for 66, because they purposely made him for that show. Yeah, it's just like that, which was cool because this is all about that show. It's like celebrating that show, which is pretty cool. The show, over time, has been gotten by generations to generations. Many people love it for what it is. And yeah, I can see why. It's definitely a cool thing. After that, we have Penguin, number 1, or Batman 23.3. Why do we have these points? Why do we have Villains Month? Because DC likes money, and you can't complain with that except for the fact that if it's good or bad. This one was good, I have to admit. I did enjoy it. It's a nice look into the Penguin's kind of psyche, in a way, how he kind of works. Basically, it takes place around his iceberg lounge, and how the governor of Gotham wants to change it, and how he wants to basically, change it so that their Casino Royale looks better for their business. And yeah, it's definitely interesting. Getting into a look of what the Penguin basically does. He's not really like the Joker or a psychopath. He's really a businessman at heart. He cares about his iceberg lounge, and he wants the best for it. He wants it in his vision as well. And yeah, he won't take shit from anyone that tries to, steal from him in his own business. So, you gotta admit, that's pretty cool. And the artwork definitely looked kind of cool this time around too. But the Penguin's not going to be around in any stories, I think, anytime soon. They didn't mention anything at the end of it. So, don't go looking out for any Penguin stories right now. I think the last time we saw the Penguin was all the Detective Comics when the Emperor Penguin was going on. He's still being called Emperor Penguin, technically, yes, but that's pretty much all they can say. But hey, what are you gonna do with it? Finally, I have it all done except yeah, the math. Yeah, it's logarithms. We learned that in pre-calc.
Remember all your logs?
Yeah.
How'd you do on it?
I haven't submitted it yet.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Finally, finally, we have Infinity Part 3. And I have to admit, you're going to be confused like I was, kind of. I have to admit, I think the tie-ins are kind of really representing of this issue because I kind of got lost at the beginning because it's all over the place, kind of. Now, like, the people who went into space to go save these colonies, they're on a planet and you don't know how they got there because they don't really explain it in issue 2 that well, and then they're finally there in issue 3 landed and they're dealing with stuff. At home, the Illuminati's dealing with their own thing. Thanos is attacking the Inhumans because he can do that, and he's Thanos. And Black Bolt, yeah, you don't. And Black Bolt's the cover character of this book, and yet he's in it at the end, so it doesn't matter. Um, It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen because the ending definitely leads into some more what the heck is going to happen next. We still got 3 more books left, and they're coming quickly. The event's going to end in October, which, you know, here's the thing with Marvel events. I have to admit, they last shortly. I mean, think about it. Age of Ultron, that was like 10 weeks, not even. That was about like 12 to 15 weeks of books. However, it came out like every week, 1 issue a week. And like, it felt short to me. Like, it was done with and over with. It started in like the beginning of June and ended like the beginning of July. I mean, the end of July. What am I thinking? It was the end of July. Like, it only lasted for 2 months. This is going to be the same case. It starts in August and end of August and going to end in the middle of October. That's basically like 2 months. So I think they need to expand a little bit more, Marvel. I know they don't want to do that because they need to keep their series running and they need to make more money if they keep having the same event go on. But I would love for one of these companies to have like an event book that like takes the whole like year. Like, I'll be honest, like imagine if like they had an event that was so catastrophic. It like the first half of the year was like the main event and then the second half was like an aftermath. Like, that would be really cool. Like, instead of just having, here's an issue of the aftermath, this is what's going to happen, and how's this going to affect our other books. No, I want to see a long period of aftermath, like, debating all this stuff. I believe that Civil War was kind of like that, but then again, I didn't like Civil War that much. I thought it dragged on a little bit, and the fact that the Registration Act was supposed to be the people you're supposed to be rooting for, nah, that's not. No, I don't like the fact that you're supposed to be rooting for the bad guys. Even though, I don't know. It's stupid. You're not supposed to have the government win in the Marvel comics. That's what they're all about. They're supposed to be away from the government, and yet you made this whole series lead to the government to be winning. So that's pretty stupid. So at that point, you know, even though Civil War kind of did that, at the same time it didn't. But besides that point, yeah, I definitely love to see that from like Marvel or DC, an event that takes like that. And of course, DC's kind of doing that with this Forever Evil thing. They're kind of doing. I can admit, you know, it's starting this month and it's going all the way till, let's see, October's issue 2, November's issue 3, December issue 4. January issue 5, February issue 6. So about all the way to March is when the official event's going to end. So 7 months of an event comic. So that's kind of cool, but there's no like aftermath. So that's the closest thing I think we're going to get right now to a major event that's going to take like a long period of time. I don't know. Maybe the aftermath, there might be an aftermath for it. But I think they're just going to do like an epilogue because they need to get their series back on track. They just did their 7-issue miniseries of Forever Evil, which it's going to make them a lot of money. I'll be honest. They're going to get a lot of money, especially since the fact that there's only 2 books coming out on Christmas Eve, and Forever Evil and Justice League number 26 are the only books. Yeah. So there's that. What can I say? But yeah, that's the closest thing we're going to get to an event that's like a long period of time. But with that being said, what 3 books did I like this week? Well, these are only 3 books that I had. So what order should I say you should get them? If you can find them, this is the book you should get first. If there's only like 1 issue left for each of these and you only have $4, what should you get? Well, 3rd place I have to say goes to Infinity Part 3. Reason being that, again, you need to read the tie-ins. I haven't read them, so I kind of got lost a little bit. However, it was a good issue. I'm looking forward to the next issue because the ending definitely was very cool. And yeah, the ending. What can I say with that ending? After that, I have to say, this might be kind of a shocker, but Penguin number 1. This week we finally don't have a villains book that beats everyone out of the dirt. Yeah, I thought the Penguin issue was really cool. Definitely dives into the Penguin. I think the writing in some areas, kind of iffy, but the dialogue definitely flows. But like, yeah, the writing of some of the characters don't really know what they're doing, and it's definitely interesting on that point. Finally, though, might be kind of a shock to some people. Kind of a shock to me, I'll tell you that for sure. But Batman 66 number 3. I love the book. It's really cool. It's funny. It's definitely a rendition of the old 60s show. Even though I wasn't that big of a fan of the 60s show, I have to admit this is pretty cool. I like how it stays true to the fact. I might, however, stop picking them up because I'm not really, again, interested by the TV series. And even though, however, I might get kicking them up because I know my dad is a big fan of it, and I've let him read the other issues, and he's found them hilarious. I'm glad he has. He enjoys the fact that they kind of stay true to the old 60s show. But with that being said, though, I don't really enjoy the 60s show for what it was, but I think that the comics are pretty cool, I have to admit. So you're allowed to like things that, are kind of iffy. With that being said, what's coming out next week? This will be kind of interesting, because we have 2 villains book coming out next week that I'm actually going to pick up. Personally, because I am collecting the other series, that is Batman Superman. That'll be issue 3.1, which will have Doomsday. Hey, finally we're getting him in the book, which will be kind of interesting that they're doing the Batman and Superman one. But I guess they couldn't fit him in the other books for Superman because he has too many villains, especially since he's the guy who killed Superman. I mean, why can't you fit him in there? But I think this one's going to be kind of scarcer. A lot of the villains books have been scarce because DC's, I have to admit, DC can be kind of stupid sometimes. A lot of the books have been scarce lately, the 3D covers, because no one knew that the 3D covers were coming out this month. Everyone believed that there was just going to be the 2D covers, and then later on, DC was going to reprint them with the 3D covers, which they're going to do again. They're reprinting them, but it's like, you lied to us, DC. Why? Why did you lie to us? But yeah, there's going to be a couple books next week that are going to be scarce. I'm thinking that one's going to be scarce. The major one that's going to be scarce, though, which I'm not picking up, but I'm probably going to read it if they still have it at my store, is probably The Joker's Daughter. Because no one really knows exactly what it's about, so DC probably didn't print as many, even though there's kind of going to be a storyline with Catwoman about her. However, it might be really good. Because, it's going to be interesting, because no one really knows who the Joker's daughter is, and people are going to want to know who it is, and everyone's going to be trying to get that book, and yeah, there goes that book. But the other villains book that I am getting, you can probably suspect, because it's Batman, I'm getting Bane, which is Batman 23.4, or Bane number 1. This is going to directly lead into Forever Evil Arkham War number 1. It's supposed to take place before that, how basically, like, Bane's kind of like the protector of Gotham now or something. I don't know. I really don't care. I'm picking it up because it's part of the collection, even though I'm not hanging them by my other Batman books, which is kind of interesting. For those of you who do not know, right, right by my bed, I keep all my Batman books. I'm not including the villains books because I think they're just solo books. They don't really mean anything to the actual series. Maybe the Riddler book does because it is kind of tied into Zero Year, and Scott Snyder does write it. However, Greg Capullo doesn't draw it. But then again, Greg Capullo didn't draw a couple of the books, I believe, over there. So there's that. But yeah, keep the Batman collection together except for the villains books because they don't really matter to me. I mean, they're part of the collection, sure, yeah, but like that's generally it. They're just part of the collection. They're not really in the main focus of the collection, though. Maybe the 3D covers might do that for it, but yeah, they're not going to be part of the wall. I'll tell you that for sure. All the other Batman books, however, there you go. You got those. Finally, we have the next Injustice issue, which I believe is issue 8 or 9. It's 9. Yes, 9. Issue number 9, which I believe that they're stopping after this December. That I think they're stopping the printing versions of it after issue 11, which kind of sucks because the book is really good. I just don't want to buy digital downloads. I believe they're cheaper on the digital downloads. However, I don't want to buy a digital download. I like having the actual issue. And this series is great. You need to pay money for this series. I've usually put it in the number 1 or number 2 spots every time I've gotten one. And yeah. Plus, next month, they're having their first annual with Lobo. Holy crap. And there's no crappy redesign of him. Oh my god. I can't believe how stupid his redesign is, but with that being said, we're done talking about comics for this week. Unfortunately, this time our time has to end together, guys. But don't worry. Like I said, next week those books are. Oh, by the way, no Marvel books. Unfortunately, no Marvel books that I'm interested in picking up. Yeah, we're kind of hitting the end of September with this Villains Month. Finally, we're almost all done. We're going to look in a couple months later and see how much money DC actually made and how they're going to brag about it, even though it's stupid. But yeah, sorry, we're going to have to end this episode. I'm thinking this episode's not going to be 20 minutes long. If it is, then I might have gone on a little bit too long prior here or in this section of the review area. But I think that we had a good talk today about these comics. I say, go pick them up all if you can. Definitely, they're all great books. However, if you only have to pick one, I personally think that Batman 66 number 3 was the best. That's just my opinion, though. Definitely, though. Definitely leave in your comments below what villains book have you been reading this week. Definitely want to hear what you guys have to say because I might have read them. I might have might have not because DC's scarce on these things. But definitely, what's your favorite villains book so far this month? We'll probably talk more about our favorite next week. But until then, what's your current favorite right now? Definitely. And yeah, so with that being said, this is Sonic Fable, and I will see you next week.